Okay, so one thing that I did not talk about, at least not in detail, was the fact that the preposition min, can be used in a comparative sense. And this is actually quite common in Hebrew, and it's pretty important to know. So um, you had some of these in your homework, but for instance here, right, um, matok, which is sweet, matok midvash, sweeter, and then this is going to be than, right? Sweeter than honey. Kashe, which is difficult or hard, me ha'am, um, right? Like difficult from the, you would probably go to translate, but it's not that. We see this in number 9 in the exercise 7D, and there you have tov mi banim u mi banot, right? Which you would translate as tov, good, mi from banim, sons, u and mi from banot, daughters. Good from sons and from daughters. And if you didn't focus in on this comparative use, you'd miss that it's better than, right? So we have to kind of smooth it out in our English translation. Um, so you really do want to read through the whole chapter and get these little tidbits that he gives you towards the ends of the chapters. For instance, me'od, right? Um, which which can be used with adjectives, and we see this noun itself, me'od, in the Shema, Hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God is one God, and you will love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul. And then it says, and with all your me'odecha, all of your muchness, right? Basically everything that's still there and to the end, kind of is the idea, with all that's left, and with all of your muchness. So that's that. In the next chapter, the verbal patterns, again, we're really just introducing these right now and saying there are a lot of verbal patterns, but we're going to be with this katal pattern, and then the name of the stem, or the binyan, or I'll call them molds sometimes, is kal. Okay. Um, and I'll be explaining more about this. We're introducing them simply because we've gotten into the participles. Okay. Um, so they explain a lot of different things here. What happens when you have, again, all these irregular roots, and I'm not going to focus a lot on that. You have your textbooks, right? And so you can see some strange things happen though, like for yada, right? Um, you'll get things like this with the guttural in the last place, or sometimes when the hay drops off here, where you go from what you would expect, which would be, like, let's say it's shamar, you go to shamur. Here, I mean, how do you even try to pronounce the ayin there? Yadu, and there's nothing there. So to show that there is actually something there, they'll give you the furtive or the sneaky patach, yadu a. And here, gala to galui, that's going to be pronounced galui. Let's see. In the next part, in the excursus, again, I don't require you to know, and in fact, I personally think a lot of this stuff is just way too much information and confusing. So, the only thing that is really good here, or that I would retain at this point, is to know that there's various root types. And that I'll be calling them according to these names, not these alternative names, but like a first guttural, which means that there's a guttural in the first root position, or like we just saw with yada, which has an ayin in the third position, that's going to be a third guttural. Okay. So a one noon has a guttural in the first place, a one aleph has a guttural or an aleph in the first place, and so on and so forth. And each of these have their own sort of characteristic weaknesses or idiosyncrasies. Okay, that's all you need to know for that.